Now, I'll show you the true power of clones. The corner clone. To generate a corner clone, I need 4 tracks, or 1 mask. The 4 tracks can be 4 track points, or 4 track masks, it doesn't matter. In this case, I will use 4 already tracked points. I delete the points. I want to show you this button. It is the Add Corner Points button. It generates the points for me. As you see, each point's name recalls the right corner location. Okay, I undo to go back to the track points. And I select the Corner Clone tool from the drop-down list. Generate. It will take a bit. The corner clone will appear in the list and in the timeline, as usual. And the clone controls in the effects panel. Before to start, I want to make it clear that I can also generate a corner clone with a tracked mask. I will delete the corner clone, and I will generate a mask from the track points using the Tracks to Mask tool. I can also track a mask, of course. Here it is. Each mask vertex matches a track point position. Remove the points. The mask motion perfectly matched the points 1. So, I will generate the corner clone from the mask. Okay, let's have a look at the corner clone. It looks like a normal power pin effect, but it is not. In fact, it gets only the part of the video inside the tracked area. And when I double-click on it, I enter the tracked surface. As you see, the surface is deformed and perfectly stabilized. Okay, go back to the main comp. I have the usual controls. Offset the video inside the clone. Or scale. And it's all related to the anchor point. See? I also have the video time control. And a grid switch. It can be useful if I need to check the perspective. But the real power of corner clone is the pins control. Because, when I move the points to expand the clone area, they stick to the new position in time. They follow the corner clone surface area transformation. It means that I can track an area of the image, and I can reduce or expand it interactively, thanks to a complex system of expressions. And it's keyframes free, so I can keyframe every single clone control and transformation, just like for the video clone. This is really useful. Because I expanded the clone surface area, when I enter clone comp, the deformed area is updated, of course. Let me show it a couple of times. Okay, now I reduce the surface. The clone area is updated inside the clone too. Undo. Now, I add C to the clone surface area. Updated. Let's go back to the containers only. Well, everything I do inside the clone, it will be projected on the pin surface area. For example, I can duplicate the deformed source, and I can move it down. The clone will be updated, and that's what happens in the main comp. I'm gonna show you a couple of examples of the corner pin clone power. Look at the footage. What I've done here is to generate these 2 clones. Starting from these 2 track masks. As you see, the clone here follows the rotation movement of the face. I put 2 dark circles under the eyes of the girl. I enter the clone. The dark circles are a semi-transparent solid, masked under the eyes. The deformed face is always inside the clone area, so it's very simple to keyframe them. In fact, I only needed few keyframes to make them work. Now, let's move to the second clone. Here, I put a simple tattoo on the cheek. And, to do that, I disabled the clone source inside the clone comp. Otherwise, I would have a problem with the multiply blending mode. In this example, I have already tracked a mask on the child's face. Okay, let's generate the corner clone. Enter the clone. And look. The deformed face is stabilized, just like in the previous example. It's like a moving image. Well, that makes very simple to deform the face. I'm gonna add a mesh warp effect to the clone source, and I will add a wink to the child's face. And to do that, I just animate a couple of control lines. Okay, done, with only 3 keyframes. Let's launch the preview. Perfect. Look at these 2 moles here. I will remove them with some help from the clones. I have already tracked the mole's position. Let's start from the upper one. I add a mask and I move it over the mole. Now I can generate a video clone. Remember, the master track is the track point. It's a simple position clone. So, I will untick the rotation and scale options. Okay, generate. Good. The mole is in the center. I offset the clone source a bit. And then, reduce the mask, and push feather. Looks like it works. Let's check. Well, the clone covers the mole perfectly, but the clone patch is visible. It needs some adjustments. The clone's skin area is hit by the light. I have to change the offset. Okay, now it works well. Let's focus on the second mole. I add a second mask, but this time, I want to use a corner clone. I want to show you a different approach. To generate a corner clone, the fastest way is a tracked mask. So, I will set the mask as the master track. And I will join it with the track point. The mask will get the point data. Look. I delete the untracked mask. OK, now I can generate the corner clone. I enter the clone. The mole is always at the center of the comp. I will use the clone stamp tool to clone the clean skin over the mole. Be sure to set the stamp tool on constant and to start cloning at the layer start point, so the brushes will cover all the layer duration. OK, I press the Alt key to choose the clone source, and I start painting. Look, the brushes are present from the beginning to the end of the layer. Let's check. OK, a bit more. Well, it should work. Yes, it definitely works. Now, I will change the color of the eye. In order to do that, I have already tracked a mask and generated a corner clone around the eye. Look at the clone surface. The eye is always at the center of the composition. OK, I duplicate the surface, and I mask the pupil. Then I change the color of the pupil, adding a hue saturation effect. Let's add some feather to the mask. OK, good. Well, now I need to mask the eyelid out. Subtract the mask. And let's add some feather to the eyelid mask too. Not bad. See what happens in the main comp. Perfect. Corner object is based on corner pins, but it behaves in a different way. Let's see how. Look at the footage. I have already mask tracked these people. I will generate a corner object from the mask. OK, look what happens here. The clone gets the mask as expected, but it moves around itself. To understand the difference between this and the corner clone, I will generate a corner clone from the same mask. OK, let's have a look at the two clones in action. Their behavior is different. This is the corner clone. As you see, the clone sticks to the video footage. It follows the camera motion. This is the corner object. The corner object's position is not animated. Let me delete the corner clone. Because the corner object doesn't move, I can put it elsewhere on the scene, and it will stay there. and, above all, it can also be related to another track. Let's say, I want to stick the corner object to this new mask. I will track the mask forward, backward, and then, I generate a position null from the mask. Now look. I move the center of the corner object to the null, and then I parent the object to the null. It follows the camera movement perfectly, but it is translated to a new position. Let's enter the object clone. The object clone area is exactly as the classic corner clones one. Deformed and stabilized. I can enter the object, of course, and isolate the people for a perfect composite. Because the clone area is stabilized, I don't need to animate the masks. Now it's mixed with the sand. So, the clone object should be used specifically to translate the clone in the scene.